Alright. Hopefully I can figure out how to send this video because I've never done this kind of thing before. But I made a modification to this motorcycle that I think you might rather know than try to figure out on your own. I already drained the tank yesterday. Today's Friday. I should have made the video yesterday so you could hear it running, but I didn't, so this is what we're left with. So the motorcycle, the seat is a pain in the butt to take off in the original configuration. So I've modified it that you don't have to do all the weird stuff. Originally you had to take off this entire side panel, which stretches from here, the tail light, all the way to underneath the gas tank. And there is a bolt down here that holds it on that you have to take out with a hex nut, head wrench, whatever. And then underneath the seat right here, there is a little pin that holds in the tail end. And everyone forgets the pin's there, and so they pull on it and tear apart the bike. And then you can't put it back together, and it makes it a pain in the butt. The reason you gotta get underneath the seat is the battery is right here, and there's under-seat storage here that you can use if you can get the seat off. But the seat bolts are located right here behind this number 6, and there is no hole to get to it. So to get the bolts out, you have to take off both side panels, either side. There's a bunch of ways online that they show you can modify this type of motorcycle. I just went with the low-tech way, and it's the cheapest way and relatively easy. So what I did was I put pins in to hold the seat on. Now the seat's held on right now with the pins. As you can see, it's nice and firm. So we take the pins out. And this is why I have to show it to you, because it's a pain in the butt to find the pins. Which are simple pins. They have a small ball bearing that holds them on, and a ring in the back so it doesn't fall all the way through. There's 2 of them, one for each of the bolts that I've removed. They push right through the bolt holes. So that it's easy enough to find where they belong and put them back in. And if you want to modify it, go back to the original, you can. So once you pull out your two pins, the seat still won't come free, but as you can see, it's loose. Oh, great, it worked. Don't do that. Don't jerk up on the seat. So it's loose, but it's not going to come off because there's a tiny little ledge in the back. Unfortunately, I just popped it. You got to slide the seat slightly forward and then pull up on the back. When you pull up the slide forward, come up the back, you can feel that it's up a couple inches. Then you just push it back toward the rear, and it comes right off. The latch, the safety latch, is just this piece of plastic here. As you can see, it's just got a small ledge on there, and it catches right here in the back side of the frame, the very last cross member. So you just got to push it slightly forward to get it to release, and then pull up. The original place where it connects here, and these pins go clean through there with a lot of extra room. And the reason for this is that I don't want to damage the threads on the motorcycle. So you get the seat off, easy enough to do. You got your 2 pins. Now you can access your battery, and you can access your under-seat storage. So now we're going to go and see if I can hold this camera properly. Last time I did it, didn't work out well. All right. Hopefully I didn't flip that upside down. No. So here is your location for where the seat bolts in. It's kind of hard to get to. It is completely covered by the side panel. As you can see from the cross member, it's under there by a lot. And the bolts that were in here originally are in this small plastic bag. Underneath of it is an extra light bulb for the dash, because the dash has special light bulbs that go in from the back and have connectors on them that just basically spin in. And there was one missing, so I bought them, and it comes in a 2-pack, so there's one extra. So now all the dash lights are on, but I have no use for that second one. They're very specific on motorcycles. So here's the access for your battery, and down here in the front of this panel, you'll see this is your pedcock to turn your fuel on and off. Straight down, which is what's pointing right now, it's what's going to be shipped on, is off. So no fuel will flow once you put gas in there. When you rotate it forward, so it's pointing toward the front of the bike, that's the reserve tank. And when you point it back, which you can't just click it to the back, you have to push in a little bit. When you push it in a little bit, it'll rotate to the back and point toward the rider, and that means you're on the regular tank. Now that tank difference I can't really show you, unfortunately. There's not a light inside the tank. But there's this tiny little, I guess, 2-inch long tube, and the fuel flows into it on the top when it's on regular, and then it goes through the bottom of it when it's on reserve. And it gives you about an extra gallon of fuel. The reason you're going to need it is there's no gas gauge. These bikes do not come with gas gauges, no fuel, nothing inside the tank at all for electronics, which personally I think is a good thing. I hate electronics inside of a tank. One slight short and now you're a Roman candle. And here's your under-seat storage with the modifications. All we did was, originally there were 4 of these angled pieces here, and I just chopped them off a little bit to make enough space to put the pin straight in. Here's your pin. Place it there in the nut hole. Oops. The welded nut, and then you slide it through, and it goes through the seat too. Can't go any further than that. It's enough stability to hold the seat on, and you don't have any problems after that point in time. Then you have to pull them back out. Again, if you just slide them back all the way to the next pillar, it gets you clear, and you can pull it out. The pain in the butt is, underneath of here is the next one. Here's one cross member. Here's the other cross member. So there's no way to directly access it. Otherwise, I would have put the bolts in backwards, and you just had to reach up there with a wrench to pull them back out, which would have worked just as well. But there's no way to get a wrench in here besides hitting the seat, because the seat's going to cover up most of this. So this was the only other alternative. And I suggest when you put it back on, I'm going to just tape these like I did with this bag in here. I'm just going to tape these inside so they're out of the way. So just go ahead and start them. I can't do that while watching the camera. Start them in the hole. Place your seat on, and then reach underneath and push them through the seat. You might have to jostle the seat around a little bit so you can get the holes lined up. But aside of that, they'll both go in on either side just with these little pins. And that prevents you from having to take off both these side panels and possibly damaging them, as they get damaged quite easily on this. Aside of that, I believe it's the only major modification I've made to the bike. Like I said, these pins here, they're just these rubber sheaths, really. They come out very simplistically, but it's kind of hard to do when the seat's on top of it. And that's why we modified it. And then up here, I can't really start the bike because there's no fuel in it. I mean, I can start it on ether. So we're going to go ahead and show you a quick run. The bike does run on ether. The gasoline should run on that just fine too, because it was running when I pulled the gasoline out. Yeah, let's go ahead and start it up. So the intake port, if you can see underneath here, is where those green lines go underneath. It's kind of hard to see, but it's underneath the triple tree. That's just a tiny little duct in here. So we're just going to fire a little in. Choke it all the way on. It is still on. And then fire it up. So, need more choke. It really needs fuel. There. I don't want to get too much in there because that stuff is kind of dangerous to the filter. But unfortunately, that's all it'll do on ether. It just gives it a kickstart. Without there being real fuel in there, it's not going to do anything else. But that's it. She decided that. Everything else operates pretty much the same. Put the choke back.